Welcome everybody, this is the Benjinator and you're watching Let's Play my new game, Soul Blazer. This is actually going to be a side LP, along with Xenogears, because Xenogears of course is taking forever in a day. Not that it's not a absolutely great and fantastic game, but it is one of these things where every once in a while you want to try something new. So Soul Blazer, back in the day when Enix was still a thing, they made this game, and it's actually part of a trilogy. It's part of a trilogy. Wow, this is my first time using an emulator, so it's actually like extremely loud on my headphones. Yeah, so this is part of a trilogy where basically the premise and the gameplay are similar. They're not direct sequels, but the whole thing is that there's usually some kind of like, I guess there's kind of like the creation of the world, there's the inhabitation of the world, and the second one, Illusion of Gaia, by human beings, and then the third one, the entire world almost totally comes apart, and then you have to kind of put it back together. But the premise of this game, is if you guys are reading the introduction, is that, you know, it's a classic story about a guy named King Magrid, got powerful, got greedy, hired a guy, or captured Dr. Leo, who was like, you know, kind of like Sid in most of the Final Fantasy games. He's just a brilliant scientist, and he basically used his power to, as you can see right here, to summon evil, and evil is in the name of Deathtoll. So this machine was built, and then, you know, Deathtoll, kind of a devil-type figure, and Deathtoll managed to basically just destroy the world. And, I mean, this is all very biblical if you're reading this right here, is that, you know, King made a deal with the devil, and then, yeah, like, basically the devil takes over the world, and now the whole thing is that basically God, the Master, is trying to fix this issue, and yeah, it's like he's commissioning essentially an angel to come down and put the world back together. So that is you. You're the Soul Blazer, essentially like a friggin' seraphim. Although, as you're gonna see, viewers, he doesn't look like a seraphim at all. He doesn't look like an angel. He just looks like some warrior type guy. And so this is an action RPG. And I'll be showing you guys how this works. It's kind of nifty because there's RPG elements, but there's also like some, I guess you'd call it almost simulation elements too, almost like a town builder thing going on. So this is kind of how each area starts, is in this little shrine right here. So let's call it, actually we'll call this Benjijo. It's kind of a, it's not quite the Benjinator, but it's kind of a nice, I guess you could call it shortened version of it. So, alright, so we're going to be Benjijo, and we're going to be, it is a very interesting name. Thank you, God. Alright. It's very straightforward. I kind of appreciate that. Like, unlike Xenogears, where, you know, it's a plot that has all of these twists and turns, Soul Blazer doesn't waste any time. So, this little thing right here is, for now, all it can really do is it can save your game. But later on, it will have other functions, because this is a game that actually has 6 nicely sorted areas, and this shrine is in each of the areas. So, and then you want to say yes to continue. If you say no, I think that it basically puts you into like a slumber mode and you have to reset the game. It's kind of silly. So let's get going. Alright, so here's a treasure chest over here. I'm still getting used to these controls. They kind of move around a bit. Alright, Sword of Life. So this is, just like most RPGs, you do have to manually equip things. Right now, all we got is the sword. So, now that we have the sword, we can swing it. Yay! And over there, boys and girls, is a monster lair. So, you'll have these little beasts come out of here. These things are pretty easy. And then you just slap them in the face with your sword. And then eventually, that monster lair will be emptied. And when you step on it... Alright, talk to this guy. So, Oh, look, another fellow angel. That guy looks much older than me, though. Though, I don't know, I could be really, really old. A couple millennia years old. So, he's explaining a pretty key concept in this game. The idea of monster layers and you needing to release them. Now, in some cases, you'll release something just right in front of you, like in this case. But in other cases, you'll release things that will be back in whatever town is set up for your particular area. And you'll be seeing that fairly soon. So, yeah, and this is another cool thing about this game. You have humans, you have animals that talk to you, you have inanimate objects that speak with you. So, you have the ability to really communicate with everything. And this guy is nicely going to be giving us our first magic spell. So in order to use magic, you collect gems. And so those enemies, they drop little gold things. They're gems. And then each spell basically has like a certain amount of gems that it takes up. Some spells are useful, some spells not so much. The fireball one's actually pretty good. Look, there's that little ball thing is right there. So let me show you how this works. You want to equip the magic. So it says takes 4 gems. And we have exactly 4 gems. And you shoot a fireball. Yeah, we used them all up, but there'll be plenty more where that came from. So now, as you can see, this bottom area is released. In these shrines, the bottom area will always take you to a town. Usually the one on the left and the right will take you to other parts of the area, usually where there's hostility. So this is the town of Grass Valley. And as you can see, there's nothing here. That's because every single human being, goat, talking tree, talking tulip, which, yeah, you're going to be seeing some talking tulips in here. Oh, look, there's one. Speak of the devil. I can only imagine what little tulips, what they sound like, what their voices are. Do like a PS4 version of this game with voice actors. So, what he's basically saying is, we want to go in here and we want to take down some monsters. So, and now the game begins. Alright, so these zombies, these guys are pretty easy. And again, I apologize, viewers, if my controls seem a little sloppy. It's just that I'm using kind of this Logitech custom pad with my computer, so it has like the little diagonal ends on the D-pad. So that means that maneuvering, because this only goes in 4 directions, can be a little bit tricky. So as you can see, that monster layer basically just released... well, it didn't actually release anything. It just opened the door for us. But that's not always the case. Like, not all these monster layers are just switches to activate, like, bridges and passageways and things like that. There's some exciting stuff. And here we go. Here's our first ever town release. And we got an old woman. And she comes with a house. Huh. And she is apparently sad. She's not very grateful that we released her, I guess. Oh, well. Can't make them all happy, right? So, now we're just going to continue on, and we got these, like, weird plant things. And his plant's going to die. Come on, get back here. Get back here. The thing just doesn't like to stand still, and doesn't like to attack you either. As you can see, viewers, the enemies in this first dungeon are pretty damn easy. And you make this, like, weird grunty sound when you get hit. So, what have we got? Oh, a medical herb. Okay, so this is probably the single most important... Oh, did not mean to hit that button. Okay, so this is probably the most single important item that you'll get in this game. And you'll get a lot of items, but medical herbs. Your HP goes down to 0. It automatically restores it to full, which is great. So, not all monsters have a layer attached to them. Those little blue orb flan things, they don't have a layer. So, you can just pretty much... Yeah, you can just pretty much... You can kill them, and they'll always be back here, too. And we might actually be dead. Hold on. Yeah. It's kind of... You kind of want to use, like, these little hallways, and you want to use, like, the limitations of their movement to your advantage. Because, obviously, you want to kind of get this guy to come down here. Oh, and I forgot to mention to you guys that you do have the thrust ability if you hit R or L. And one of the nice things about it is that it has telepathy. And, you know, you can break dance and moonwalk as well. Or they call it the crab walk in this game. It's pretty sweet. So this guy should be almost done. Oh, that's a big gem. Alright, cool. Aha, talking jewel. Yeah, so you get a bunch of these talking jewels in this game. They're pretty nifty. They're angels hidden inside a gem. So they give you hints. In this case, they give you XP, which is awesome. And they almost always have the ability to transport you to whatever town you're going to be dealing with. So it's kind of a nice, it's basically an escape pod. Or a warp, if you're using Final Fantasy lingo. So yeah, this game I played, this is my second Enix game I played. The first one was actually ActRaiser, which I'm going to be LPing with Mike at some point. And it's, ActRaiser is probably one of the best games of all time, most underrated. It has similar elements to this one, but this game actually is a little bit more in-depth than ActRaiser. ActRaiser is still a little bit better, though, as you'll see. Like, that's when you literally are God, and you get to help prepare the world, and it's glorious. This time you're just a lackey, an angel. But it's like I said, he doesn't really look like an angel. He just looks like a kid with a sword and a little crown thing going on. It's not bad. It's not a bad look, but still. All right, what are we releasing next? What are we releasing? Ooh, tool shop owner. Okay. I remember he's useful. I'm not exactly sure what he does, but I do remember that he's useful. And so, little fire things. These things are silly. One other thing to keep in mind is that this particular game has. I totally forgot what I was going to say. It's a great game. Yeah. I mentioned in the intro. It has a sequel. It has two sequels, and they both kind of play like this. They're both action RPGs that have gems, and they actually have telepathy in all of them too. I believe Terranigma, the last game in the series, you can actually jump, which is pretty cool. You can't jump in this game. But I do appreciate the fact that you get to use an actual weapon in this game instead of attacking with a flute, because the main character in Illusion of Gaia, his name's Will. So he does have a name, but he attacks with a really lame-ass weapon. So this is probably the most you'll ever get as far as humans in this place. And these characters will give you little hints. So obviously right now he's talking about that there used to be a bridge here, and the bridge is not. But you can cross the bridge if you release the guy that guards the bridge. So you always get kind of a, oh boy, we're on the conveyor belt, like one of those things you see at major airports. Alright, cool. So these guys are a little bit tougher. If you kind of stand in front of them, they'll shoot balls at you. But fortunately, they come out pretty quickly, which I think is pretty considerate, all things considered. Mwahaha. Yay! Okay, so now we release the bridge guard. So we're going to have to figure out when we get back to town how to deal with that guy. So I remember what I was going to say now. So this particular game, like, you have these dungeons, and at some point, and it gets progressively more complex as the game goes on, you have to go back to town and start interacting with people, and you usually have to, like, solve a puzzle in order to get to other points of the world. So it's not just a total hack and slash. You know, this is not just a game where you're just swinging your sword and you're going through levels. As fun as this is, there are other elements of interactivity, which is what makes this game quite good. Definitely up there. Yeah, and you get to level up, which is fun. The Dream Rod. Okay, so this is actually a really important item. Let me just, this is, yeah, it enables you to look into somebody's dreams. So there's going to be a bunch of characters in this game. They're going to be asleep, and it's going to be your job to basically enter their brains as they're dreaming and see what they're dreaming about. Because there are some things that can't get unlocked unless you do that. So you'll see. The game will definitely get interesting. Oh boy, yeah, these guys are coming out fast, and look at all those green plant things down there. They're just ready to fight. So as you might imagine, once you get this monster layer done, that's going to open the door to that monster layer down there. Yeah, look at that. Whee! Alright, so thankfully they're all out, and they can all be destroyed pretty easily. And let me use some of the... Yeah, look at that. Woo! Yeah, the fireball is pretty useful. Like, it's certainly not the most powerful spell. It's certainly not the best spell, but it's a useful spell. There's one that comes after this that I think is a little bit better, though. Oh, you release some ivy, so you can climb up and down things. Great! Alright, guys, so I think it's a good time to take a break. We're in the middle of the underground castle. We're in the process of releasing the denizens of Grass Valley. So who else are we going to unlock from this weird, somewhat port-like dungeon. Find out in the next episode of Let's Play Soul Blazer. This is the Benjinator, and thank you guys for watching.